And I'm going to click that OK. Approved.
Okay. All right, we're all here, and now this will make it to the YouTube. And I'll go over here to the script. Everybody good?
Good, good. Take that sip. Refresh your voice.
Hello, all you crazy Unshavenauts. Welcome to episode 12 of the Unshaven Rant-Cast. I am your host, the well-bearded Marc Allen Fishman. I am joined today with my brothers from other mothers, the incomparably fully bearded still Matt Wright,
It's more white in the beard now.
and the always iron-stubbled, now with fresh goatee if you're paying attention on YouTube, Kyle Nepper.
Ahoy, ahoy.
All right. Well, that's the intro, everybody. And yeah, we'll just go right into the unshaven news. So anyone want to throw up those 5 fingers of doom? I keep waiting for someone to put up the middle finger. That's great.
Keeping it
Unshaven.
classy.
We are.
I,
So
I was
it's good. So not a lot really between our last podcast and this one, other than Mark's been working in the salt mines for the licensing expo. I've been sending out 5 to 10 invites a day. Basically, I just keep refreshing my one link so it shows me all the new attendees, and anybody who fits our criteria, I send the same form letter out to. We have one possible interview off the books because the person bought their ticket and then said, I'm not actually going to go, but here's my personal email. Write me your thing and we'll figure out a time later. And other than that,
Okay.
we have 11 meetings and one with the actual con thrower people.
They just
cool.
want to know more about us.
They want to sell us next year's booth.
I have no doubt in my mind.
Probably.
Oh, no, no, no. I have complete faith that's what it is because I've already received the email.
Got it. Makes
Like,
sense.
we haven't even gotten in the door and they're like, what about 2025, baby? Hilariously, we were out to dinner with my parents tonight and I told that to my dad and he's like, why would you ever go back to the show if you go and you make it? I was like, Dad, if you make it in licensing, you go to the show every year because there's more people that will now buy your thing. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, think about it. If you like the Ninja Turtles, they don't just appear in TV or streaming or a movie. They also have action figures and bedspreads and clothing. Each of those is an individual license. And then my
Lemon
dad saw,
pies.
right. And then my dad saw money and he's like, well, then get out there.
That's
What
where
are you
money
doing
is.
still here? Go, go.
Plus, you could
Simmer.
have something new. This year it's Sammernauts. Next year it's Negative Men. I mean,
We're bringing it back.
Honest to God, I'm surprised your dad didn't be like, get out there, go. By the way, here's a human-sized suitcase. I may or may not be fitting inside of it to get away.
no.
No,
He sends the suitcase empty. We bring it back full of steak.
yeah. I don't know. I don't. My dad was just there, so I asked if they had bet enough that we could stay in the Venetian instead of the Luxor. And my dad laughed and said, "Not for you."
Oh,
That's fair.
No, it is. All right, so that's your unshaven news, really. And after that starts the gauntlet. After the licensing expo, you know what I should do? We should probably promote that we're going to be in Indianapolis in 2 weeks.
Really important.
So, Indiana, Polis, Unshaven Comics is coming to you at Fan Expo Indy. I believe this is at the convention center downtown. So make your way out to it. It's a 3-day show. We're going to have Sammernauts. We're going to have Toolbox. We're going to have Blooms. We're going to have To the Max. And I'm going to have, I dare say, 4 racks of Pokemon.
So many.
these are the table racks, right? Not like the big Florida.
No, just it's the same
The
rack I
4.
have. I now have a
Table.
4th.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Mark's just going to put himself behind a wall of Pokemon.
You won't even see me there. I'm just gonna.
Well, he knows what sells the cards. He
It
doesn't
ain't
need to
me.
interact. The cards sell themselves.
I'm just gonna peer out
And they
from beneath
twirl.
them. Yeah. Hi, children. Would you like to purchase my cards? And if you
At some
actually
point,
come
he's got to put the little thing on the front where it frames him. He's got the front plate, and it frames, and then he's got the 4 racks, and then he just like those people we see at the shows where they do like the big wall of like prints, and then they leave like the one little
the
itty bitty
window.
window open.
Yeah, I haven't figured that one out. But honestly, the way the racks work, I figured if we found the right pole, I could stack two and two and make big columns. But the problem is, at that rate, you'd either have to go to the floor because it'd be way too tall for anybody to reach the top. But 96 designs will be the limit to the ones that I can carry, and after that, if I have more, I'm either going to have to stack behind or just not do it.
I mean, Gen 1's 150 Pokemon.
I know.
151 Pokemon. I'm sorry, internet. Don't
Yeah.
throw things at me. 151 Pokemon. So you got like almost 60 to go.
True, but I've broken that. I've used stuff in Gen 7, 8, 9, and some of these come from customs. I will say for those going to Indianapolis, you will see some Poke mashups I have not actually shared digitally. I've got a couple that I printed off doing some stuff with the brand, and we're going to see. Come and see them. There's a couple of there's at least 6 brand new designs, actually maybe more, that I've not put up on the website. So
Nice.
I'm excited. I won't fill up that 4th rack yet, but I think that's fine. Something to try to get to. But anyway, the Gauntlet, Indianapolis, then Vegas at the end of May. When we get back from Vegas, literally the day we get back, Matt and I go to Michigan for Cherry Capital Con. We come back, we have a whole week to work, and then the Homewood Art and Garden Fair. So come see us at any of those
that mountain.
events. Yes, help us make money, fans. That's it.
Oh, Marc had a impromptu visit to me today on his walk, which was lovely while I was doing some yard work and getting things moved out of my shed and the whatnot. And once he made that known to me, and I had to think about that, because when I look at my calendar on my phone, it's like 1 month at a time, and then I slide over the next month. So some days I don't put 2 and 2 together if something's like at the top of the month, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that month looks wide open. I'm like, wait a minute, that comes. Oh shit, we're gonna melt.
We are. Also, we'll have to pay them. I have to go take a look at that. But that we actually have a few weeks to pay them on that. And I said we've got our 10 by 20 space, and I'm just going to triple check. Yeah, festivities begin on May 31st at 4 p.m., creating a vibrant evening atmosphere until 9 p.m.
Wow.
Which, that's gonna suck, dude, because I'm gonna have to squeeze out early because I'm gonna have a little league game. Like
Okay,
8 to 10.
I'll man all 20 feet by myself.
You'll be fine.
You've done it before. You'll be fine.
I don't
Get
think I've had
Wellington
20. Yeah, I could probably get Wellington in there.
Get Wellington in there.
Or one
What
of
are
my
the-
children.
There you go. What are the Bears doing? Call Michael.
Come on down from Evansville.
Come on up from
Evansville. Stay in my home.
No, call Pat. Call Pat. See what Pat's doing.
Well, there you go.
That would be nice. It'd be nice to see him again. Okay. Well, I know Pat must be a listener, so Pat, you reach out to me. Or hey, any other fans, all 12 of you on YouTube, if you're in the area and you would like your own 10 by 10 tent to sit in and do snow angels on the ground, just write
and just say whatever you want about Matt Wright's artwork directly
It's trash.
to it.
It's total trash. Totally trash.
I thought he went to art school.
Just someone
He did. He's a failure.
filing through the box. Crap. What is Darkhawk? Crap. And me just sitting there going, I should stop this.
Yeah. I could see you doing that, and it's just like, ugh, crab mask, Kyle Rayner. This is terrible. Hey, what you know? We got a problem now.
Let me put out my candy cigarette on my tongue.
You want to go?
Yeah, let's do this. Okay, someone give me 5 fingers of justice and we will get into the unshaven views. All right. Welcome back. I know that I cut these things together, so there's really no welcome, but who cares? No feedback yet, so I don't have to worry about it. Kyle, you got
Yay!
your die of justice.
Sure do.
Ooh, this one's very legible.
Yeah. It's nice that it's actually got the, no dots, actual numbers.
Right, that's nice. By the
Ooh,
way, Mr. Roll for Sandwich was by you, Kyle. He went to the Mars Cheese Castle.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was a failure from the
nice.
beginning because he bought a whole bunch of fun stuff. And the first sandwich he got to make, the bread he rolled was a pecan strudel.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Don't ask what the protein was.
Like
Tuna
liver or something?
fish.
I
Oh.
was gonna say like liver. Like,
No, he made a tuna. It was oh my God, it was a pecan strudel, tuna fish salad, nectarines, uh,
oh,
Swiss cheese, and mustard, like a mustard
Oh,
sauce.
man, you can't leave this stuff up to chance. I know you want to, and it's the gimmick, but man, it's like letting the internet pick your facial hair. It's just not a smart idea.
it's gonna backfire at some point.
Oh no,
Like,
I mean he's had bad sandwiches, but apparently he said it wasn't unedible. It was just like I will never do this again,
So one of those things where it was
just
bad, but it should have been worse.
pretty
So
much. Yeah, I suppose he said like the pecan
ugh.
strudel was so powerful that most of the other ingredients just kind of, you
the
know,
pecan strudel and the peaches, that that that's a good start. Those
you'd
two
think.
things go together.
The
Tuna
mustard
fish does
sauce,
not add to that.
no, the tuna fish and the mustard. Oh, and popcorn salt.
Oh,
Okay, I don't know what the hell popcorn salt is, but okay.
It's just fine grain salt with fake butter.
Weird. Okay.
Roll the die.
All right, here we go.
we've gone
That's
off
going
the
to be a
rails.
number 3.
Well, that would be you, Kyle.
Ooh. I got 2 topics up there. I don't know if you guys are looking at them. You guys want the like
We
TV
only
show
get one.
stuff?
We only get one topic each because we got 2 big segments after this.
Oh God.
So
Okay.
save
So you
one.
gotta pick. You gotta save. You gotta
Okay. Well,
pick
I'm gonna
which baby
roll
you're
to
gonna
see which one
save.
I want. 1 through 3, I do the first one. 4 through 6, the other one. So
Fair.
I'm doing 1 through 3, first one. Okay. So Fallout, the series on Amazon, came
Hmm.
out earlier this week. I believe it dropped like Wednesday night. Oh, I was there the second it should have dropped, and I had an error, so I had to wait like 10 minutes, and then
Oh
I
my
got to start
god.
watching. Yeah, I know. And I have a job and kids, so I've not gotten to just watch it over and over and over again between then and now like I wanted to. But I
Was
did
it
You had to
pretty
be a
fully,
stacked
responsible.
of with
You had to
Easter
be a
eggs and stuff?
responsible adult.
Stupid adulting.
yeah, I had to do a lot of adulting this weekend. But no, I burned through the series in my spare time and when the kids were actually down at night.
The
So
whole first
Hmm.
season?
yeah,
Or
all 8 went up at the same time. So I already burned through all 8 episodes.
eight
Hit
How
hours,
long
or
are
are they
Sundays,
they?
and
half
I
an
was done
hour?
Friday. No, they're about an hour each.
Jeez.
I think the first one might actually be like an hour 20. I'd have to look. The first one's slightly over an hour, and then they're like an hour apiece.
So between Wednesday and Friday, you crammed an 8-hour series.
Yes.
All
I
right.
That's
traded
doable.
I traded
That's
sleep
doable.
for it on Friday night, but I do not regret that decision at all.
I will
That's
say that
doable.
I mean, I would say I have very waning desire to see it, and I'll say most of it's because one of my the actors that was in Severance is in that show, and I want to see what he's doing there.
Okay. Uh, if you like the series, I am a longtime Fallout fan. So, I mean, it's a great addition because they've already, the actual studio and the heads of the studio were involved and said, yeah, this is all canon. This takes place like I think 20 years after the last game, Fallout 4, which we had a few years ago. So this builds on the canon and the existing lore of the Fallout universe. And I mean, it creates a great original story in that universe. I don't want to reveal spoilers, but the the big factions that anyone plays the games would expect to see, they're all there. Uh, the characters are interesting and they have good stories to tell. I mean, it's the same showrunners that worked on Westworld, if you watched that on HBO. So these were people who were ready to bring you a real messed up world, and they did a great job still keeping things in line with that universe. So I was tremendously happy with the show. Um, I don't want to give spoilers, but it's one of those things where there have always been a handful of questions in the Fallout universe that have kind of been in the background in there, and I was shocked that this series makes no bones saying, "Oh yeah, we'll answer those. We'll flat out tell you." It's like, oh my God.
You've suffered enough, nerds.
The
The person I was looking at, Kyle, is the actor Zach Cherry. He plays Woody Thomas.
having a oh, I think I know which one that is. Wait, hold on. Let me double check because I'm having a moment. So Fallout, you said Woody Thomas?
Yeah, he's the heavy set guy. Pause for Googling.
Oh, him. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yes, I did a quick Google. Okay, yeah, this guy's been in a lot of stuff recently, but yes, his character is amusing. He is a vault dweller. He is in fact part of their council.
Oh, good.
So
I mean, I see obviously Walton Goggins in there. I can
yes,
only assume that he plays
That's
something creepy or evil.
yeah, because that's all the previews I've seen on that show. It's like if there's ever a show I would
he's a
ever
ghoul.
watch for like a character actor, like he's the guy. Like
He is, yeah. I doubt he'll ever show up heroically anywhere.
Well, yes and no.
Shades of gray. Shades of gray.
He has a very, I would say he probably has the most interesting arc of the season.
Oh, good.
And there's definitely going to be a second season. They've already confirmed it's been approved and starting pre-production, I guess. I would say for longtime Fallout fans, I did have one minor criticism of it that, again, if they want to put something that the fans would squeal over, would have been nice. Uh, we did not have any appearance of the voice of Ron Perlman,
Mm.
who did the introductions for every previous major game they've had. Some of the side little games they didn't, but he's been in like a role to some capacity. His voice has been there for
the voice of God.
not the voice of God, but it's stuff
Just a
like the
narrator.
narrator in the fourth game, the last one that came out. He's the voice of the news anchor who's like reading the reports at the very beginning that the bombs have started dropping on air.
I will
So
admit right now, well, put it this way, Kyle. I don't think I would have much personal desire to watch the show unless I had run a ground of everything else in my list. But Matt Berry is in this
yes,
series.
yes.
Okay, based on your yes, I think I'm gonna have to watch it now because I love Matt
So
Berry.
so one thing you may have seen familiarity or not with the show or games. Robots are a thing. You can get household robots, which, post-apocalypse are wandering around, sometimes causing trouble, sometimes just there.
Yeah.
He is the voice of the Mr. Handy robots.
Damn, I think I might have to
So
watch it.
there's a few.
See
They're
that
not in every episode,
He's
but
only listed for 3, so
yeah.
see, and that's the thing. Like you said, like there's stuff that has been long rumored to happen in that universe that they're actually going ahead and answering in this. So now my thing is going to be if I watch this, I'm going to want to pick your brain on like, okay, so what have they been driven and drizzling for all these games that the show has gone in and said
And
like, yeah, here's the straight up answer. I don't want to know. I would just
right.
rather prefer to watch and then ask you later, like, okay, what have they been teasing? And then this show just kind of
And
went,
and
here's
they don't
here's what that is.
and they don't treat them like long unanswered questions because again, this is a whole new sort of area and group that we're starting with. We're not meeting a whole bunch of people that have, been in like every single game. Oh, it's so and so. It's a new group of characters, it's new segments of history we're getting, and questions that would just come up in this scenario of what these people are going through that have been there in the background before just get explained or get expanded on. So
Okay.
they don't make a deal. It's like, oh, and now it's the secret of Fallout. It's not anything like that. The nice thing about this, and it was something I kind of watched for, you can enjoy this with no background. It absolutely does not require. It's like, oh, you played Fallout 1 and 3, but not 2 or 4. You're gonna be stuck.
well, that's pretty
No.
smart on their part because you want it to be inviting to people like me that I'm vaguely familiar with the game but never played it. I
Mhm.
know very little about it other than like the names of some of the things that are going around, and like when we're at Comic-Con
Right.
you can pick them out.
Yeah.
And you've definitely talked about it in the car, so that's interesting. I'd say like because usually what happens to me is I'll pick a streaming service and I'll kind of live in it for a while and then I forget I have it. So when I head back to Amazon Prime, which I will, since I believe we got like what 3.7 episodes more of Invincible.
I'm just waiting until the season finishes. I'm not touching it until it's done.
Yeah,
No point.
if I can wait, and I think I'll, well, when we get to my thing, you'll see why I have time, but I'll probably stack Fallout with Invincible. Sounds like a good pair.
Sounds
Yeah.
like we'll at least see what the uptick in costumes are going to be this year uh for the cons. We always see a handful of Fallout costumes to some degree, so
I
Oh
bet
yeah,
it goes up
I
now.
have a feeling we're going to have a
I'm sure. Plus, you'll be amazed how well they did the practical effects and stuff. It's amazing how well they have, Goggins on the show with no nose.
All right.
ooh.
Roll that die.
Okay. Next up. That's a big old one.
Matt.
Oh my gosh. Um, I want to say like I read comics and I did everything, but my day job has consumed me completely these past couple of weeks. A lot of night work, so a lot of interesting stories of people of the night in Chicago at 3:30 in the morning of just why are you awake at this hour and what are you doing? But consumed me so much so that it took me a day later to find out OJ died. That was a
Oh, yeah.
that one was a big one. Just in regard, I mean, not so much that he died, but just the whole, you know, this whole idea of like he's dead, and then the flashback of just finding your placing time of like I remember seeing the chase on TV, and then just coming more into that realization I'm sure our parents had and our grandparents had of like living through something and then kind of not facing your own mortality, but just living through something and then figuring that like our kids are going to be reading about this pretty soon in history books in some degree or another, and
Maybe.
we're going to be like, we were there.
I
It,
sure
it
hope no history book covers this.
I don't
well
want anybody covering the OJ
it
trial, but it's going to come up at some point.
No
well
doubt.
So
in the climate of what was going on in the 90s, because you had the Rodney King beating, OJ Simpson verdict. It was
yeah,
like things kind of stacked on each other for a while.
Yes, yes.
for sure,
And
for sure.
certain former presidents who are having to walk into a felony trial tomorrow might have been paying attention for those Hail Mary cases where like how in God's name did this not result in a guilty? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't know. It's just that was probably like the outside of the eclipse again happening. It was basically that was my that was my biggest thing of the week. It was just
When did
it
people
was
start thinking that was going to be the rapture? Because I saw that like after the fact. It's like there were
Every
groups of people that were
eclipse.
convinced that they were going to get raptured up during the eclipse. It's like, why? Where did that even come from?
I'll pat myself on the back for coming up with a joke for that got my wife like do a spit take. I told her that somebody had posted in our group about like the rapture not working, and I'm like, stupid tractor beam just kept hitting my fat ass against the window. What? What?
yeah. Yeah, that was probably like the biggest thing for me. It was like OJ dying for the week, and it was just kind of finding my place in history of just like, wow, I remember. I remember
Junior high
it felt
school.
like if we were in high school, that felt weird. It was just like I remember that. It was all that stuff, and between that and my daughter just silently breaking my heart in some weird way, which I posted on Facebook. But for those that don't follow me on Facebook or anything, I was driving my daughter to get shin guards and socks from Dick's Sporting Goods. And I asked her, did she see the eclipse? Which she responded, yes. She wanted to go up on the hill and watch it, with her friends, but they couldn't for some reason. Um, and then she hit me with, the next one's going to be a 2044. And I thought I was being smart and being like, oh, they made a math problem of that or whatever. And I was just like, is that what they did, baby? And she's like, no, our teacher just told us. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she's like, I'll be 28 when that happens. And I'm driving the car.
Slowly getting grayer as
It was just, honest to God, like it was the moment of like watching Bart get his heart ripped out and kicked across.
oh, I was gonna say the one
That's
of like Steve Rogers slowly aging, just
yeah. Or Matt Damon at the end of like
right. Yeah.
Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan. It's like there's a slow tear she didn't see. like there's a twitch that developed in my eye, and I was just driving. I'm like, that's great, baby. Just
I'll be out of college, Daddy. I might be getting married.
oh yeah, that was just and like I said in the beginning of the podcast, I'm getting more grays. I swear to God, there was not two gray hairs on the middle of my mustache in the beginning of that week before she told me that, and then she told me that, and I washed my hands and looked in the mirror, and I was just like, what? Where is this?
I bet you didn't even think at the same time Aiden would be 31.
Yeah, thanks for that. Fuck you. So is your kids.
Yeah, I know I gave up long ago. Don't worry.
I know. Yeah, it was just an odd stacking of mortality moments, I guess, for the week. Just,
Tune
nothing.
into Unshaven Rant-Cast as we all slowly come to grips with our own mortality.
Oh, I'm past that.
I really wanted to get into a comic shop. I was looking forward to seeing if I could pick up another of the Geiger books or any of those guys. I've heard like they were having like a big release, and just could never drag myself or find the time to just steer myself that direction. But hopefully by the time we do our next one, I can have a comic review again. So
Well, we'll have a Comic-Con in between us, so we'll figure
very
it out.
true.
Actually, the
That's
next
something.
time we're technically meant to record this, we may actually try to do it in the same room because we'll be in
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis.
Woo!
So we may figure that out.
It'll be
Okay,
fun.
guess it's my turn. So no comics or anything comic book related per se, but I have been watching a show, Billions. It came out a while ago, but it's
So
new to
Paul
me.
Giamatti?
Yeah, Paul Giamatti and a guy named Damian Lewis, who apparently has
Yep.
been in stuff.
Paul Axel. He plays Paul Axelrod. Yeah.
Yes. And it's growing on me. It's a slow burn of a show. Um, you can tell that it's on, I think it was from Cinemax because boobs everywhere. And really inconsequential. It's just like, and here are some boobs in case you weren't paying attention. But it's a good show. The whole the pitch of it, if you will, is that this guy, the Axe, was not at the World Trade Center when the planes hit, and he was the only one in his office who wasn't there. And in the wake of 9/11, being the sole partner left at his firm, he inherited all of their wealth. And due to his very potent trading ability, he now has, as Paul Giamatti, the, I believe, Attorney General for the U.S. New York District, Southern District of New York. He's the top of that, and they're the guys who go after Wall Street people. Well, Paul Giamatti says that he has more money than the GDP of a small country.
Huh.
And it's the cat and mouse game between these two characters. Paul Giamatti wants to catch him because he knows that he's dirty, and this guy has more money than you could possibly imagine, so good luck. And then the twist of it all is that Paul Giamatti's wife is Axe's therapist for the whole capital firm, and she knew him before Paul Giamatti.
Ah.
So it's got some interesting turns to it. Not every episode has been a banger, but it's been more than watchable and enjoyable. And I love Paul Giamatti. But the screw to turn here, why I'm bringing it up on our podcast, is the more I watch the show, the angrier and less of a fan I am of Batman.
Explain.
Batman's doing it wrong because the Axe clearly shows that anybody, and he's not some savant, he's just a ruthless trader, as in day trader or whatever. This guy figured out the market and has, he is one of, if not the wealthiest person in the world. He's definitely, let's call him top 10 based on the way the show does this. Why isn't Bruce Wayne richer? And why isn't he solving more problems with money than going out and beating up street thugs?
The Wayne Foundation.
Yeah, but I'll put it this way. I have yet to read anybody doing a Bruce Wayne centered book that could show all the good he could be doing. Because I look at it and go, the Batman of my youth, the impossible strategist, that dude should have figured out how to have the most money possible and just foundation the crap out of the world.
Because he's too busy detectiving.
That's my problem. His personal proclivity is preventing him from being a better hero.
Okay. Did the axe have to deal with Two-Face? Was his
No,
best friend scarred horribly by acid and then decided to start robbing places that played on the two theme?
no. I actually, it's funny. His like right hand man is one of the character actors from Breaking Bad.
Okay.
So it's just interesting to me to see that guy playing a completely different character. Like he's this really Weasley dude.
Is the psychiatrist wife secretly evil? Because there's a lot of evil doctors for Batman too.
It's not.
Hmm.
I don't think so. I think she's like a. I want to say based on. I'm like 9 episodes into the first season, and this show's been going on for 8 seasons. I think she's chaotic good because the whole hitch of her and Paul Giamatti's relationship is that he is a submissive and she is a dominatrix.
Ah,
And there's definitely a lot of that going on in the show. It's actually how the show starts is a
a-
ball
as you
gagged
said,
Paul Giamatti.
as you
Uh,
said, boobs.
yeah, not hers, never
Oh,
hers.
okay.
A lot of
Oh,
leather. No, not yet. But we do get her butt in one episode. So, no, it's actually interesting. One of the, and I'm giving nothing away here. One of the episodes, Paul Giamatti, how do I put this? Paul Giamatti's a guy on the street so hard that he forces him to pick up dog poop with his hand.
Really?
Yes.
Did you just
So
turn Paul Giamatti into a verb?
there's no better way to explain it. Like, Giamatti's walking his dog down one of these paths by the river in New York City, and he passes by kind of a big lumbering dude who probably smokes a lot of weed, and he's walking his dog. And Giamatti catches his dog taking a poop in the middle of the path, and the guy just kind of walks along, and Giamatti can't take it, and he gets in front of him, and why are you can't do this, and he monologues the guy so hard that he eventually makes him pick up his own dog's poop with his hand.
Ooh.
And then later in the episode, based on other things at his office, he gets so guilty over being stretching the law to do what he needs. He finds himself in Iowa after shaking down somebody who was connected to Axe. He goes to the only BDSM club in Iowa, and he ends up calling his wife and admitting, like, I'm outside of this club. I am so ashamed. And she's like, good, go in. And you have to watch him go into a fetish club with her in his ear in an earpiece, and she makes him get down on the floor on all fours. So it's an interesting show that again makes me think less of Batman.
hmm.
Okay.
So there you have it, guys. We're gonna truncate. That's the end of Unshaven Views because Matt threw down the gauntlet. If y'all tuned in to the last episode, one of Matt's topics was it's time for the Apocalypse Monster Hunting Squad Challenge. Each of us were to make a team of 4 to 5 characters, a mixture of heroes and villains, with a reserve 6th Ranger spot for guest appearances. The notion is that our characters must come from the 80s, or I'm going to say like early-ish 90s with, asterisks, like we could cry foul if someone chooses something very late. And I don't know if this is like a competition or if it's just us each making these squads and proving to one another why we picked them.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I mean, I would say, do we want to keep the same order or should Matt go first since it's his challenge? Should he get to choose?
I could do a whole nother roll.
Uh, no, I say keep the same order. That feels fine.
Okay. Kyle, who's your team?
Okay. So
He had to break out the book.
I have notes.
I got a notepad next to me over here.
So just to take you through the
Just
process
jotted
for
it on
me a
my
little bit.
paper.
For monster hunting, I went to the classic idea of who does a lot of monster hunting and fighting? D&D groups. And for anyone who's familiar, you can look this up. It's shockingly a real thing. The creators of Dungeons and Dragons have long held that a perfect template for a group of D&D players is the Golden Girls. With Dorothy being the warrior class, Rose the cleric, Sophia the wizard, and Blanche the rogue.
I was gonna say the whore.
The whore? The
So,
slut?
keeping off of that template idea, I've put together what I feel is an effective crew.
I'm already sold, but let's do this.
So for Dorothy, you want someone who is a capable fighter, but also just not looking to take anyone's shit. So I have Panthro.
Well
Because
played.
maybe not the best fighter of the Thundercats, but not gonna take shit off of anyone and not afraid to throw shade.
Also, he's an engineer.
Okay.
That too. So next up, for a cleric type, someone like Rose, someone who's maybe, older, but can really put the rest of the team in their place. I have selected Papa Smurf.
Interesting.
Someone who has got the advantage of
Very
more
interesting.
than once. He's shown that he can identify plants and make salves and potions to be able to help out the group. Cleric
is true.
stuff. But also has the advantage of being tiny and easy to hide or fit right in someone's pocket for when you need their help.
Kyle, I got to give you like 25 bonus points for that pick because you defended the crap out of that.
That's
I'm
a
not
deep
done.
cut. That's a deep cut.
It is.
Next up, the wizard, our Sophia choice. Now, there's a lot of wizards to pick from 80s cartoons. Most of them are absolutely incompetent. Not only that, their magic is dangerously unpredictable, and they don't even know what they're about to set off half the time. I'm talking your Presto from Dungeons and Dragons, Orko from He-Man. You don't actually know, and they don't even know what they're about to do half the time. So I broadened the term for wizard a little bit to deliver on a promise that I gave from last time. My wizard choice is Inspector Gadget. From being able to pop out a helicopter out of his hat to fly, or an extra long arm to mimic a mage hand, this man brings a technological solution to the magic problems.
Okay.
And finally, Blanche, our rogue. So I went a little far ahead because we've got to have someone who is able to do the job, but also, we all know Blanche, flirty, very sexualized for what she was.
Uh-huh.
This is a little bit towards the end of the spectrum for shows we went to, but I am going for Carmen Sandiego.
Okay, defend that one.
I'll allow it, but I want a review.
We said villains were okay.
Oh yeah.
For someone who is
no.
someone who is a qualified thief. Plus, I think we can all agree that Carmen Sandiego is the definitive cartoon tease. She is someone who is constantly a step ahead, constantly stealing, and definitely had a, "Oh, are you going to catch me, detectives?" There was a slight edge to some of the way she talked to those teenagers following around the world.
No doubt. Okay. Now, do you have any like guest star for your team, or is that it?
I know that we jokingly referred to it. I think one of you made the comment of, I initially wasn't going to do one because I was happy with my group, but one of you put down a term at one point of saying, yeah, you could have a fourth person, your Green Ranger, if you will.
Yeah, that was
And
when you asked what the rules were again, and I defined like a team of 4 to 5 people, heroes and villain mix, leave room for a quote unquote sixth ranger if you need it kind of situation.
So I put one down. So the Green Ranger made me think of, ooh, bad guy turned hero. Who would be good for that? So my unexpected last minute fifth pick, Desdemona from Gargoyles. Villain turned hero.
But doesn't
Nice.
she can only show up at night?
She can only show up at night, but otherwise you just have a giant rock that one of them can throw at people.
Good luck.
Throw a barrel,
Carmen. Yeah.
So
It's
that
an interesting squad.
I would pick Gadget to throw the rock. Maybe a little help from Panthro there, saying
You're gonna have to.
Gadget,
I was gonna
wrap
say
your arm
I
around the base.
see Panthro doing more of a fastball special on that one. Just
Yeah, that'd be rough, but okay, that's an interesting one. Technically, Matt, you are up next.
I am next. You know what? Given the degree that Kyle went into on this, because I literally just scribbled down the names of who I would have picked. I'll give a little bit more meaning into what I need here. So I need my
Present.
leader. I need my leader, somebody that will pull together a rowdy group of team, uh, going across multiple spectrums. So from Visionaries, I have Leoric, the man that comes in on. Uh, there's a deep cut for you right
That
there.
is a deep
He
cut, as I'm totally
he,
not Googling this right now.
I
he
have
is
no
he's
idea
he
who
is
that
a
is.
he is. You remember the guys that had the power armor with the little holofoil thing, and they could turn into whatever animal they had. That was the
No, I'm drawing a blank. I have
oh
no memory of this.
he piloted like a big fuck. He piloted some magical like 18 wheeler kind of
Say
situation.
his name again.
Leoric, Leoric.
See, all I'm thinking is I believe there was a dead King Leoric in Diablo. That's the first.
No,
Yeah,
no.
Leoric
So
Visionaries. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna
I remember the armor. Didn't these guys used to be animals at one point too?
uh-huh. So their armor was imbued by Merlin, and there he is, and he could turn into a mystical glowing lion if he needed to. But that dude was the leader of the Visionaries, the good guys, and he had quite a
Wow.
squad under him. So if anybody can keep a platoon of guys in
He'd
control,
he'd
he would
have
be the
to. Look at
guy.
that mustache.
I you get
Seriously.
points for the mustache.
He's got the Celic stash down.
Okay. There you go.
So coming in from the back, I need somebody that can be my tech support, but if things go in a south direction, somebody that is not afraid to go with maybe some slightly evil tech, to get the job done. And so from Mask, I am choosing the villain, Miles Mayhem, creator of the vehicles for the villains of Mask.
Another show I did not watch.
I own the
Oh,
toys. I definitely watched episodes, but I remember that one was not easy to find. I like
it was
how
not, but
Matt's going full hipster on this one. I
oh,
love it.
Yeah.
no. I got some. All right,
Silverhawks
so
next.
no, I thought about it. I thought about it, but if we went space, I would have done Silverhawks. Anyway, so at that point, I need somebody that is our Hal Jordan, our guy that's got iron will, but he can cover the skies and do it well. So from Centurions, I am picking Ace McCloud.
I just like to point out you're 3/5 of your team in here, Mr. Hipster, and don't worry, you'll totally know who I'm picking.
Some of you will.
I
Some of you, I
Has he
look.
picked anything you know yet, Kyle?
No, I watched none of these shows.
Wow. Wow. Okay. All right. Fine.
No, I like
I
it
watched
though.
He-Man Transformers, man. That was enough for me. I was a kid of simple needs.
Simple
Don't
deeds.
worry.
Papa
Don't
Smurf.
worry. So
Hey,
I need my
we
moral
all
compass.
watched Smurfs, okay? It
I
was
need
just
my
there.
moral compass, but I need my strong number two. Uh, I also need somebody of strength and of wisdom. I've got Shira.
Okay, a recognizable name.
There you
Finally.
go.
Also to keep it from being a sausage party. So,
Whoopsie. Actually, no,
and then
I've got some. Okay.
it, all right, and then my last on the team, I need my comedy. I need something lighthearted. I need something to be a little bit hip. But also somebody that can hold their own if need be. And from the Transformers, I have chosen Jazz from the Transformers.
I mean,
Everyone can
also
ride around.
vehicle, right?
Vehicle, right?
Well, I
Useful.
mean, I'm wondering how he's going to deal with the bad guy from Mask, because it's the whole, man, you're making stuff that I do not agree with. I like that it transforms and goes from one thing to another, but I do not like what you're doing.
Stop
You can get
tinkering with my butt.
you could get some amazing Tango and Cash buddy cop situations happening in that situation where it was just going to be some awkward comedy, I would think. So for my sixth ranger,
Mhm.
the guy to ride in to help out the team if they get too far deep and just can't get out. From G.I. Joe, Sergeant Slaughter. Honorary runner-up, William the Refrigerator from G.I. Joe.
Stick with Sergeant Slaughter.
All I can say though, Matt, you're creating kind of a force, because between your leader and Sergeant Slaughter, the two mustaches, you're gonna get like it's gonna
Army
create
hat versus helmet.
right.
Look, I am creating the Tommy and Jason dynamic of like, who's the real leader here. But
Matt's team's gonna
I,
implode.
I feel my team is solid. Sergeant Slaughter comes in, even in G.I. Joe, he only came in like what, last minute. Plus, if we're talking like an 80s cartoon, we're going by the 80s logic. I totally want to see Sergeant Slaughter punch a ghost. And there's no other reason than he's Sergeant Slaughter.
I mean, look, we all want to see that, Matt. No one's denying that. So
Look, if this was a cartoon, like I would fully embrace the fact that these guys are fighting ghosts, ghouls, goblins, whatever, how we set this going up, and like Sergeant Slaughter would just come in and like if it's a poltergeist situation, he would just punch the poltergeist and people would be like, "Oh my God, Sergeant Slaughter, didn't you have you had whatever thing?" He's just like, "No, I just punched the ghost."
I am maggots.
All
Excellent.
right, Mark.
Okay.
It's on you now.
All right. So yeah, I didn't go to any lexicon of team party makeup, but I did try to think of my way around a squad, right? So my leader is going to be Phaeton from Exo Squad.
Nice.
He's a natural leader and a planner. He has superior senses and strength, so he can more than hold his own in battle.
Wasn't he the bad guy?
Matt said we could have heroes and villains.
Okay.
And to be fair, I think because I was kind of tackling this as an almost apocalyptic wasteland kind of idea, and I figured
He
Phaeton
comes
would
with
be
an E-frame.
yeah, that too. I figured he's probably willing to calm down on the whole slave thing, because it's like we're pulling people from all the universes. He's just a
Okay.
natural leader.
Well,
Fair
he
enough.
definitely went from a probably more straight up bad guy to like some shades of gray for sure.
Yeah,
So
he was always he wasn't necessarily he was bad, but he had the right intention.
He
So
was complex.
exactly. So he's my leader. Dr. Egon Spangler. I mean, we're fighting ghouls
I
and ghosts.
I
You gotta
toyed with
have
that.
you gotta have somebody who just automatically deals with that. So his knowledge of the paranormal and his ability to not only be a scientist and engineer, he's there. And I figure you gotta have somebody with the tech. So I'm bringing in Gizmo Duck.
Nice.
Wow. Okay.
Because I thought Inspector Gadget, I didn't want to step on your toes, and I figured you might go with him. And I figured same difference, but slightly updated tech. And I figured somebody like Egon would maybe versus oh my God, I can't remember the name of the scientist that made Gizmo Duck.
Oh, Fenton. No, Fenton's the guy in it. No.
Yeah. Well, whoever that guy is.
Yeah, it's the guy with
Yeah.
the little beak and the red hair and the terrible hat.
Right. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. I figured Egon would be better to say, oh, like you had the switch on bad. This click, there you go. Okay, next, Tigra from Thundercats. I had thought about
Okay.
Panthro, but I actually opted for Tigra because, unlike Panthro, he can turn invisible, which I figured would be very worthwhile in a battle.
Although Panther does come with the Thunder Tank.
He does. But one fact about Tigra that I found in my research is that he has advanced knowledge of architecture and engineering. So if they are hunting ghosts in a building, he might actually have something to add to the conversation about getting around said building. So,
Or he might be like someone who actually does study architecture and just spend an hour talking about buttresses.
but I imagine with his
Ugh.
super speed and his ability to turn invisible, he could cover more ground than the rest of the team and get them prepped for whatever battle that comes in.
I suppose.
And last but not least, you need someone to punch people. So I chose the best puncher of all punchers, Fisto.
I'm sorry, who?
Fisto from He-Man.
Okay.
He's 6'5", has super strength, and a massive metal hand. There is nobody better at punching than Fisto.
Going back to our earlier conversation,
he lives in the Valley of California.
going back to Fallout for a second, there's a joke in one of the Fallout games where there is a sex robot named Fisto, which is where I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Nope, the
That
He-Man
explains why you were
character.
like that. Explain Okay, so that explains why you're like, whoa, 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 whoa.
So he's my tank. And last but not least, my guest star, my favorite guest star, Casey Jones.
Okay.
He's bred for the wasteland. Everything's a weapon in his hand, and I figure he doesn't like to play well with others, but he could show up, and with some of the more action-based heroes, he could like deal with more monsters by swinging a bunch of stuff.
Who doesn't love a psycho in a hockey mask with a bag full of weapons?
Pretty much. I said his moral compass is pretty loose, so I figure Phaeton would really get along with him.
Fair. I can
Yep.
see that.
So there you guys have it. Those are our monster hunting squad teams. If you have your own monster hunting squad, please tell us. Facebook, YouTube comments, wherever you are enjoying our podcast, please interact, engage with the brand. That's what we want. We want fan engagement. So I'm looking directly at you, Brandon Wenzel. We expect. There you go. Now, before we go, I did have a last-ditch Hail Mary to the fans and see if we've got any questions. And yes, we do have some questions. So I'm going to go over those quickly, and we'll use that to end the episode, okay?
Fantastic.
Sweet.
All right, Taya McKenzie, would you rather fight one bear-sized Gypsy Rose Blanchard or 30 gerbil-sized Gypsy Rose Blanchards?
30 gerbil-sized. I would wreck them.
I need to look up who Gypsy Rose Blanchard is. Wait, so it's just an actress?
Yes.
Okay.
What does she look like?
Wait, hold on. Did she murder somebody?
Oh,
Yeah. Gypsy Rose Alcida Blanchard Anderson is an
Yeah.
American woman convicted of second-degree murder in Missouri for the death of her mother.
Gerbil size.
Gerbil size, please.
Gerbil size.
Moving on, Dan Levy, who is the host of the Barguments podcast, go look them up. All they do is literally this. It's blank versus blank. That's the whole episode every time.
nice.
Sweet.
Who is the scariest villain in the sci-fi genre? Have fun.
I mean, you got to kind of qualify that a little bit, because I could just say some sort of terrible alien god or something like that. I feel like that needs to be.
He's saying sci-fi, so I'm taking horror out of it. So I'd say the hardest line to me would be Alien, because that was more sci-fi than horror.
Yeah, but I mean, you could say Borg Queen.
Yes,
I mean,
that would count.
yeah, I'm gonna say the Borg Queen and the Borg in general, because I mean, especially when they early showed on the idea of having your identity stripped and turned into a drone of just this force that is oncoming and never ending is terrifying.
That is pretty bad. Matt, can you top the Borg Queen?
That is rough. I'm sure I'm not thinking of several things going on.
Yeah, that's a hard one to hit with.
It is. I mean, like, because like you can go as far as into literature, you can go as movies. I want to say maybe just the one that's off the top of my head and terrifying essence is probably Alien for sci-fi, just on the fact of
The Xenomorphs.
the xenomorphs, just because there's that I mean they just don't care what you are. Like,
And they're pretty gruesome looking.
they are gruesome looking, but I mean, like, even going back to the old cartoons and I mean in the comics, and they set that stage up pretty well in the movies themselves. Those eggs open up. It just does. I mean, okay, you know what? No, they're terrifying because they don't care. The thing that's a little more scary, I want to say, is The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
You don't know who it is, and then you morph into that weird fucking thing. You don't even know if you're the fucking thing.
That's pretty
ah.
gnarly.
Because it can
Yeah.
talk with you too. I mean, there's
Yeah.
times where it's like, holy crap, he was the thing. He was just talking to them. It's
pretty bad.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say the scariest villain is Khan because them pecs. All right. Chris Davis. If someone had never read a comic before, what comic would you suggest someone read first?
Ooh,
it depends
depends.
because sorry, go ahead.
No, I think we're all thinking the same thing. We would probably all want to get to know the person even just a little bit so that we could recommend something that we think that they would generically like.
Yeah, because I mean, it depends what they like. Like if it's the whole I like Little House on the Prairie versus I really like Star Wars, man. You're gonna give two different answers.
So I'm going to just,
Uh,
to make it easy, let's say somebody said, hey, I caught one of them Marvel movies the other day, and yeah, it wasn't half bad. So I'm thinking like maybe I should read some comics. So generically speaking, superhero, what do you hand them? I have my answer immediately. Marvels.
Marvels is a good choice. Kingdom
It's
Come is a good choice.
I see. I would want to say Kingdom Come's a good choice, except that like there's so much lore that if you don't know, I don't know if you could enjoy it. Marvel, I like Marvels for that reason because it's like ground zero human first storytelling that still has the signifiers of the Marvel universe. So that's where my head went.
Yeah. I mean,
Um, I would say with not you don't even really have to know anything about the character themselves. All Star Superman,
That is a good one.
absolutely fantastic. Um, and then see, I had to play this game when I got Amy into comics to some degree, and I think I wound up handing her like I got her with like Sin City because before Frank Miller went bonkers, just because of the art and the storytelling, and it's something totally different. And then she came in on the back end of me picking up and reading Preacher. That was Preacher's a really good one too, but yeah, that's a rough one, man. It's more complicated than I think people let on as far
oh
as a
yeah.
question.
Kyle?
I'm gonna say the first volume of Invincible by Robert Kirkman.
That is a
It's
very
got
good one too.
it's got a lot of the classic tropes kind of like refined down into a nice, easy story. It's got some turns to it, but it starts out very classic comic booky.
I think we can all give them that. And then after they've read like 5 or 6 issues of anything else, then we give them Watchmen. You never start on
Mm,
Watchmen,
yeah.
but you have it in your back pocket.
I'm gonna say a very unpopular, controversial opinion. I think I'm over Watchmen. I
It's been saturated pretty hard.
not
When
yeah.
when it came out and probably early 90s, early 2000 or late or 90s and early 2000s, it was still in that era where it's just like, ooh, that's a really good book. You should read that. And then they just took everything from that book and just
Yeah.
blew it up.
It's
We
like you
got
gotta read Watchmen and Batman Year One and Daredevil.
it's a lot. Okay, we got 5 more people to get through, so let's chug on.
Uh,
Fan favorite Brandon Wenzel, who just got his 1,000th subscriber to his channel. Go check it out.
Congratulations, Brandon.
Yes, Brandon Wenzel's sampler platter. Go look it up. See, free plugs when you ask us questions. Brandon says, I don't think you guys ever answered my question about the Into the Spider-Verse stuff a few weeks ago, though maybe I missed it somehow. Regardless, if the Samernauts ever got bought up for a movie license and none of you had creative control, how many characters do you think would be played or voiced by Chris Pratt?
uh,
Even one would be too much.
yeah, more than we want, no matter how many.
He could pick he
Uh,
could be Lancer. I'll say that much. He could make a fine Lancer. No one else.
given the Hollywood's Hollywood's likelihood of recycling people and voices, I would say he'd probably get at least two, maybe a robot or something weird in the background.
True enough. Let's keep going on. He's got like 2 or 3 more here. I was
Okay.
thinking about it. I kind of think a DC Black Label story for Martian Manhunter would be potentially really cool. Any opinions on that idea? I really love Martian Manhunter. I don't personally see him needing to have any more grit to the character because I think one of the things I like about him is he is glass half full. And I don't know if I'd want to see him in something that would try to test that without him succeeding. That would be where I fall.
I, I I wouldn't be opposed to it. But I would say like if they did a black label, like maybe like a little bit thicker than a prestige, a little thinner than a trade, kind of a one shot to it. Like I like that character, but I just, I don't see him being a sustained. I know he had a series back in the 90s.
Oh,
I know
sure.
Yeah.
John Ostrander wrote for that series, but like again, I don't know if there's enough to that character, you know?
Nothing's
Kyle.
gonna beat that giant Alex Ross thing that was about him. Was that the Justice?
Yeah. He got one of those.
Yeah, that that pretty much hammered his character really well. So, but the right writer potentially could do it. But yeah, I'm kind of with Mark on this one. He's as an optimistic character, he's too important for that role.
Okay, two more from Brandon. If Wendy's ever goes full on evil empire and Kyle is forced to jump ship, what's the next ship he jumps for?
That
Any
that's a
port in a storm, baby.
that's tough, man. I gotta say, if I'm just throwing stuff out there and guessing, there ain't a lot out here. If I'm gonna, I mean, it's not gonna be fast food per se, but it's probably gonna be like Chipotle. I'm just gonna be one of those people that's like, oh yeah, Chipotle's great.
Chipotle is my life. All
Double
right.
protein, baby.
There you go. Lastly, since Invincible is doing well with its animated incarnation right now, what other Image comic properties do you folks think would be cool as a cartoon? Wetworks. Sorry, it's
Tough
my answer.
call. Tough call.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trying to think of what other Image comics I've like read long term that I'd love to see. The thing about Image is that I'd probably end up picking like one of the like mini series that they've done where it's like, oh yeah, this guy got like a 6-issue series about, aliens that use Earth like a gas station. Uh Real book, by the way. Uh,
Go.
I'm thinking, look at my
Uh,
bookshelf. Give me a second.
Matt, you got one?
I
Because I
still
think
think Savage Dragon would work as a revival. Like Savage
yeah,
Dragon back.
I wouldn't mind
Um,
him. I mean, he had a cartoon, but I guess it just didn't.
he had a cartoon, but it fell into that, too they made it too
Oh,
cartoony, if that makes any
I know what I
sense.
want.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like I could see it if they gave it like an invincible treatment where it's like treat it like the source material. I think it would probably do well.
there you go, Kyle.
Manhattan Projects. Manhattan Projects, Manhattan Projects, Manhattan Projects.
It's a good one.
That series was bonkers insane.
There you go. All right, four to go. Eric Garneau chiming
Eric,
in. How do you think creators should go about balancing nostalgia and newness when working with retro or retro inspired properties? This could apply to your own work with Samronauts or a retro revival like X-Men 97.
I mean, it's you just gotta
Mhm.
pay. The way I see it is paying tribute to the original and not being afraid to turn it to today's values in some way.
I'd like to say, like, when we did the Samronauts to begin with, it started with our laundry list of complaints about the Power Rangers
No,
and us trying to solve them in a modern way, and still being able to like enjoy what came for it. Like when I did Samronauts to the Max, and I'm like, I'm gonna do a series set in the 80s. I'm gonna use all the tropes, but I'm going to ignore leaning into them to solve the problem. So if I have a Gem and the Holograms person on my team, she's not going to be solving, she's not going to punch somebody with a guitar or sing the song that's going to soothe the femme fatales. She's going to still have to like learn to fight and be a Samurnaut. So that would be how I would go about it. So like you see the things in there, but it's not presented tongue in cheek. It's taking it seriously.
Matt, thoughts?
Uh,
Excellent.
that's a hard balancing act. I would say, yeah, probably springboarding off what you said, Kyle. Just honor some of the past. Try and experiment with some newness, but don't get away too much from it. As far as what the original concept was on, that's the original concept is why you're having a revival in the first place. People were still interested in that product. So, but you do have to create something new, and you can't always rely on
If it's
just
all
keep,
nostalgia, it wears itself
yeah.
out real quick.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Um,
that's why like if it's a continuation on where it's like, the child of, or the new adventures, it's again, honor the past, try something new, see if it works. If you have to, bring back in the original character.
Have something to
It just
say.
it's a hard act. Like, let's be real. That's a hard act to follow. We've been dealing with that in comics for I don't know how many freaking years. People are, they want their 500-pound gorilla of whatever it is, and it's just like that got stale. We need something new.
there you go. All right, guys. Kathy Fishman, like her a lot. She's got two quick ones for you. Uh, have
Some
rea
favoritism.
have reality shows like the Kardashians, Bachelor, Bachelorette, and competition shows like American Idol, America's Got Talent run their course.
Yes,
Yes.
end them.
Yes.
Yes.
Also,
Yes.
what classic game shows should come back? Classic Concentration, for example. You've won. That's the one. I don't need anything else. Bring me
I,
back Classic Concentration.
I don't know what that is.
It was awesome. It was like Alex Trebek hosted it. You could win a Toyota Supra, and it was like a match game. And like basically, you picked matches, and they revealed tiles, and behind it was like emojis that you would have to solve. Like it would be like, hey, this puzzle is going to be movie quote. And if you got all the matches right, you'd see a bunch of emojis, for lack of a better term, clip art, and you'd have to figure out what it represents, and then you'd have to say the movie.
Okay, so a sun and a shoe. Oh, the sun will come out tomorrow. It's Annie.
Right. Exactly. And it had
Eh,
Alex Trebek, and they could win a crappy car. So I loved Classic Concentration. That was like Price is Right. Classic Concentration to me was the perfect one too if you had a sick day. So
Does Double
any
Dare
if you had,
count?
yeah,
Okay, bring back Double Dare.
there you go. Get sloppy. Matt.
nothing.
All right.
Nothing. I look, if I'm perfectly honest, like I rarely watched game shows, and the ones I did watch, you're talking Family Feud, you're talking Wheel of Fortune, with my grandparents, you're talking The Price is Right. All of those are still going on,
All right.
Yeah.
and if there's the closest one that I would probably say to bring back because it was a damn good show is Whose Line Is It Anyway?
That's stretching it, but I'll take it. Moving on.
That's the
Uh,
only one I would want back.
okay. Michael Sacco Gibson comes in with what type of Star Wars ship would each of us Unshaven Lads most want to own? What would you name it?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Uh, I'm not getting up, but I have the Lego for it. I want a TIE bomber, and I have no need for a name. Just give me a TIE bomber. Thank you much.
I mean, I kind of want what the Mandalorian has in like the first season before he gets to the one that's like he's got a little pod to live in, because it basically looks like a teeny tiny studio apartment with a cockpit attached to it. So, I mean, I kind of like that
You
idea.
want you want you want you want the RV
I
of
don't not
ships.
want that.
Would it have a special name?
I mean, I feel like I'm just gonna do something terrible, like name it after, you know, a really vague video game or other video game or crappy reference to like an 80s character or somebody else. I need a few minutes on that. I don't know.
The Stifler. No.
I've got my like classic ship name where if I want it to be something terrible, but it's based off of a personal issue in my life that I don't think I want to attach to something here.
That's interesting. Matt, please save us. Do you have a
Uh,
ship?
the child in me is always going to love the X-Wing. I will always love the X-Wing. The adult in me sees the practicality and the for the Millennium Falcon. God. I would say the Millennium Falcon.
Okay. That's
Uh,
still
Who
you
named
know,
your
that's
Millennium Falcon?
yeah.
oh,
I'll buy a few seconds. Naming mine, I'm going to steal the name from one of the coolest space shows that I watched growing up. I'm going to call my ship Pag's Payback. And if anyone knows what show that's from, you earn a point.
There you go. Competition.
um,
Five.
Galactus.
All right. The Galactus.
There
Thank
you
you,
go.
Michael. Last speed round though. As we get through these, they won't get speedy, but this should be fun. Melanie Roovers, who appeared in Nuts to the Max, asked very quickly now, best vacation ever.
Like possible or that we've been on?
I assume that you've been on.
Oh,
Ooh.
week in Italy. Had gelato every day, got to see beautiful ruins and landscapes. Best one I've ever had.
Yeah, I feel terrible because I'm not going to choose one with my wife or family and say my trip to Italy in high school, sing in places that we were not allowed to sing in, going out at 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. for gelato, getting into weird philosophical debates with my roommate. It's really going to be hard to top that.
Italy,
Mm.
baby.
It's pretty good. Matt,
Uh,
did you go to Italy? Did you
no,
really go?
no. I have
You
I
been
have
to
lovely,
England
precious.
or
I have
Ireland?
lovely, precious memories with my family and the Dells and the whatnot. But I want to say probably one of the best vacations per se I've had was my honeymoon. I did a 2 week bus tour starting in London, going up the backside of England, going up to Ireland, Scotland, then over to Ireland, and then coming down the other side of the coast. So yeah.
That sounds great, man. Yeah, nothing wrong
It
picking that.
it completely beats Kathy and I staying in a bungalow in a town that closes shop in July, and we were there in November. All right.
Hey, 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 hey. My mom helped you with that.
I know, and
Sadly.
I wish that I could have Googled how stupid I was, but we'll save that for another podcast. Okay, two more questions for Melanie. This one, uh, Kyle, take the term art to mean your writing as well. What
Okay.
was the pivotal moment in your life that you knew you wanted to create art?
Mm.
And I will get a little
Mm.
sentimental on mine because I'm going to actually say when I met Matt.
Oh, baby.
Because,
I'll
like,
send you the check in the mail.
that's nice. I mean, in all fairness, like and this is a sign of the times, the late 80s, early 90s. The way I grew up in elementary school, I was dubbed one of those gifted kids or whatever, and they tell you the sky's the limit, pick any, whatever you could dream, you could become. And I had thought I'd become an architect. Literally because I'd heard of the position and I thought it sounded cool that you could draw buildings or something. The more I learned about it, the more I learned you had to know math. And I was like, that sounds less fun. And I passed by Matt drawing this kick ass Viking. And then he became my friend. And I was like, oh, and he's showing me comic books and all of that stuff, which I had loved, but never like had anybody to latch onto with it. Like my best friends at the time were more into like BattleTech and Star Wars, and I enjoy those things, but I didn't really feel a desire to work in those companies per se, or knowing that that would be fathomable. But somewhere between those and the comics, it's in that sixth grade realm. I was like, oh man, I just want to be paid to create. I don't care how, but that's the mission, that's the goal. So I'd say for me, that what it was meeting Matt, that was the pivotal. Had I not met him in class, I probably would have wound up a lawyer,
Hmm.
a rich
Mm.
lawyer.
Rich, rich lawyer.
Mine
Math,
was an
no.
English. Mine was an English assignment in junior high. We had a English class. I don't remember the teacher's name, but she had this class thing we had to do where basically we were like given these photos, and mine was about like four guys in a jungle somewhere pushing a jeep out of the mud. And I wrote like we had to all like write a little story, like 2-page story about the photo and what was going on. And I turned it into like this weird time loop thing of these guys pushing it, trying to get out of there, and then suddenly back to pushing it the same place over and over and over again. And like we had a little, group that would grade us, like 3 people out of the class would grade everyone's story, different people every time. And mine was the only one to get 3 10s. Oh, wait, no. Angela gave me a 9. I remember that now.
Damn you, Angela.
Bitch.
But yeah, so I just remember that moment, how much fun I had writing the story and then reading it. And it's like, I'm going to read it to people. And because I loved attention and like getting the validation for it is like I just want to do this forever. And then I found out you could make money doing that. And
Even
I
better.
was sold.
Matt?
I can't pinpoint a specific moment in time. It was just drawing and drawing superheroes and drawing characters and drawing stuff, and then just people encouraging me that you've got talent and the whatnot. And at some point people just kind of finding out, like, when you start reading comics, like, people get paid to do this, and then just having that weird click in your head, like, wait, somebody's paid to draw Spider-Man? I could get paid to draw Batman? Really? Yeah. And then you just kind of keep going at it. I can't pick a particular moment in time when the light bulb went off. I could pick out the moment, like, I want to say, like, somebody wanted my artwork for the first time, which is probably one of the first comic conventions, showing some stuff and people coming up and then actually saying, like, I want to take a commission from you. That was lovely and validating in its own weird right, of just like people actually want to pay to get my artwork, which is, people sinking you out. That's a whole nother ball of wax. But yeah, I can't pick out a specific moment in time. Sorry. I wish I could, like Mark and Kyle did, but
Still works.
Yeah.
And actually, I'd say it actually leads us to Melanie's final question and the way we will end this podcast. What has been your most rewarding moment making comics?
That's a tough call.
I mean, okay, I'm going to take the Matt answer on this to say I don't know if there's a singular most rewarding moment, as like, and it sort of progressively continues to happen every year. Unshaven Comics is still a thing, and not only a thing but a viable business that has product. Like, I recognize now, our trade is old, but every time we pitch it to somebody new and it resonates with them and they purchase it, honest to God, that's kind of the most rewarding moment over and over again, because like everybody else who suffers from crippling imposter syndrome, the notion that a 20-second pitch that we came up with over literal pie and coffee, bitching about the Power Rangers, could now formulate into something that someone just pulls out $20 and says, sign me up, I want to know more, is the most validating thing that you could possibly think of. That we have slung enough pulp and paper through 15 years that somehow we're coming out on the other side of it, where we now get to see this next generation coming in and they're looking at us like, how do you come up with this? How do you do what you're doing right now? And we're like, we haven't figured it out yet either. So why are you asking us?
Dude, this is still in motion. I mean, we don't know where we're gonna land. We just know that the wheels haven't fallen off yet.
Yeah, no, we've all come to grips with the notion, like, look, this is going to burn itself out any second now, and we've all come to grips and been happy with the journey is worth, the whatever, the means justify the ends or whatever. But like, it's that. I'd love to point out to, like, the 2 kids in Baltimore screaming, stark raving mad over our book as being a definite high point. Going to literal cities and countries we would not have gone to had we not decided to do this.
We wouldn't have been in Toronto were it
No.
not for the Samurnauts.
Or Winnipeg.
True.
Winnipeg.
Yes.
Would not have,
the Detroit of Canada.
the Detroit of Canada. We would not have been to Denver. I wouldn't have any reason to drive that far west or make the friends that we've made or all of it. So, yeah, I guess to say I can't pinpoint a reward, like one reward. It's all a reward, okay? Because we've said it before. All three of us have day jobs. We have kids. We have wives. The Unshaven comic thing is just this constant side hustle that always gives back because we get to do it. So it's its own evil rewarding moment machine.
I will point one out for me.
Hit it.
This was the weekend where I said, Mark, I think our pitch might be a magic incantation. Every time I say it to someone, they give me $5. When we first started selling the Samurnauts issue as part of disposable razors, that first time we got it out on the table, and it literally felt like we couldn't keep putting them on the table fast enough to keep up with people buying them.
Yeah.
And getting all the books
Yeah.
together when we got the first 300 sales day, where
Oh,
we were
when we had all the
pushing,
Samurnauts there, and
where
they
all
were
the Samurnauts there, the photo reference people were all there in Samurnaut shirts,
yeah.
helping draw attention and telling people to come buy the book, and all
I
of us
mean,
were on our feet selling.
who would
I
think
remember.
8 strangers gathered around you, all staring
Oh,
at you as you listen to the
And
pitch because we
coordinated
needed.
matching shirts.
Is he going to buy
I
the
can.
book? Is he going to buy the book?
It's not like, yeah, the glom on. It's not one specific moment. It's a collection of moments. Although I know one that stood out to me was, when we must have just debuted it, or like the second show we had Samurnauts at, and when you had Boom Studios selling their newest title to come out from Mark Wade, and our friend Glenn Hallman came to the table and asked us, "Hey, how are you guys doing? What's going on?" And we said what our numbers were, and then he's like, "You guys, wait, what?" And yeah, it's whatever, however many books, and he's like, um, "Really?" Because yeah, Boom Studios just debuted their book and they haven't sold that many issues in a day. And it was just like that idea of like we we beat Mark
I
Wade. How
remember
did
that.
that happen? We're not saying like we beat Mark Wade on a regular
No,
basis. It was just like one of those like,
I'm
huh?
sure overall numbers, I'm sure we weren't even a
Oh, we
drop
got
to what he was
smoked. I'm
selling
sure
in
we
our
got
bucket.
We were
smoked
talking
at some
con
point.
floor
Yeah.
only. It was con
Yeah.
floor only.
Exactly. Yes, please
We
please don't get any indications from us that like we've outsold like a major comic company, or at this point I guess a defunct major comic company, but that was definitely a situation of like we just kind of like we couldn't. That was a weird one for us, or
yeah.
standing on in the emptying halls of the Javits Center of New York Comic Con on our first Comic Con with no books left, and we had nothing. We were like, we got nothing.
That was a good day.
We're out. We're just.
I would say there's been so many moments, Melanie, and like honestly, thank you for that question because like it's something that we probably have to remind ourselves a little bit every now and again doing this. Because the other thing that comes to mind when I think about rewarding moment, the friendships that we have made with people that we see 4 or 5 times a year for 15, 20 minutes at a time, who fill my Facebook feed daily, and I'm so excited for the turns that they have in their lives. Friends like Jim McLean, Dan Doherty, Victor Dandridge, Yoni and Danny Lemur. Like the list goes on. People that live in all parts of the country that we catch up with, and I can't say that's like old friendships. It's just like we all share this commonality of being in the trenches, if you will. And we've also stood shoulder to shoulder with people who are technically industry giants. We have sold next to uh Brian Polito, guy from Evil Ernie and Lady Death, and been right next to guys like him. We've sat at tables with
His
John
wife is
Ostrander.
super nice, by the way.
Yes. We got to drive John Ostrander from his home to a con and have a brunch with him, and just obviously he's a normal human being. He puts his shoes on one at a time with a servant like the rest of us, and you know it's been half a lifetime. Our friendship goes back 30 years. We've been technically making comic books for half of it now, which is
Wow.
ridiculous to think about. Because
Yeesh.
we're all 42, and it's the one thing that keeps like gnawing at me is like we get memories like I'm like, thinking about high school because it feels like yesterday to me. Like I can go back and feel like, oh yeah, I got to go to lower G, got to go to this class, got to go do this thing. Um, every weekend piling into Matt's Explorer or my dad's minivan and going to Lakewood Bowl, you
Hmm.
know, and just shooting the shit and then going to Baker Square because it's the only thing that's open. So we could spend what dollars we made slinging pizza, working for fast food,
Also,
also
also
garden
nursery.
center. We're gonna nursery so we could buy slices of pie and coffee, and Kyle could empty out his coat of everlasting holding
A lot
to
of crap in that coat.
to being in one of our vehicles, basically my minivan, and driving 10-15 hours out of state to towns and cities that we would never be in, slinging books with our names on it, and still feeling like, how is this working? How is anybody stopping for this shit? I mean, we hold up an 8.5 by 11 sign, makes us look like weird gargoyles. Just stop, listen.
Hey. Hey.
I'm sorry, 2 gargoyles and 1 handsome model. Matt.
No.
And it all turns out well. So that's it. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Unshaven Rant-Cast. I have been your host, Mark Allen Fishman, joined by the ever-aging Matt Wright.
Yeah.
And the mercurial Kyle Nepper.
Hoy hoy.
Be sure to like our Facebook and our Instagram page and YouTube. Go subscribe. Leave a
All the
5-star
content.
review on whatever app you found this podcast on. And as always, I can't.
Stay unshaven.
Stay unshaven.
Stay unshaven.
Okay, I'm going to stop this recording.